Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Betty. So my name is Corinne Diachuk, and I am a co-founder of the Institute for the Study of Somatic Sex Education, and I'm also a certified Wheel of Consent teacher. And I'm with Betty Martin today, the creator and teacher of the Wheel of Consent, which has been such an incredibly important foundational piece to the program of somatic sex education and a big part of my work as a somatic sex educator. And I just want to say, Betty, thanks for being here and welcome.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to.
I just love working with you and the other facilitators, and I love seeing that you are taking it out into the world, and it's really great.
Thank you. I wanted to invite you to have this conversation today because I think there's some curiosity amongst our students about this really fantastic body of work that you've offered us, and how can people become certified to teach the Wheel of Consent. So I wonder if you would just be willing to talk about the different pathways of certification.
Sure. Yeah, you bet. We don't certify practitioners because we don't teach a methodology. What we teach is how to take the Wheel of Consent into your current practice. And that's what we teach in Lycopro. So we don't certify practitioners. Also, that just seems like a real headache that I don't want to have. What we do certify is people to teach a specific Wheel of Consent workshop, which is 2 or 3 days, or a series of 6 weeks or something. Because we found that once the Wheel of Consent started to get out into the world, we found that people were teaching it or thought they were teaching it, but they hadn't been trained, and they were confused about what it was, and they thought they were teaching it, but it wasn't really it. And so we wanted to have a place where we knew the Wheel of Consent would be preserved and would kind of live. And so that's the Wheel of Consent workshop. And then we realized, well, we need people that we train to teach that workshop so that we know that they have it. We know that they can hold a container. We know that they understand it. We know that they can present it. And so that's why we train and certify them, which is, obviously, of course, you went through. And the primary requirement is that you have it in your body, because you can't teach it from your head.
Right.
You really have to experience what the quadrants feel like. So that's what the training is. And when we first started this, I think about 3 years ago, we it's for graduates of Lycopro, or if you take if you go through the workshop 3 times with one of our certified facilitators, that also counts. And once you have either of those, either Lycopro or 3 times with a certified facilitator, then you can enter the training pipeline, which is a short workshop we have called Teaching the Wheel in Groups, or Working with Groups, which teaches you how to take the principles of the wheel into whatever you're already teaching. It's not about teaching specifically this workshop. It's, you teach yoga, or maybe you teach massage for couples, or maybe you teach relationship skills or something. It's how to take the principles of the wheel into whatever you're teaching. And then after that, if you still want to pursue certification, then you apply for the certification program, which is it's a longer class. It's a pretty demanding class. And it includes presenting part of the workshop in the group as a practice. It includes facilitating workshops on your own, and then reporting back. And so the training does not guarantee that you get certified.
Right.
You actually have to do do some workshops and bring your learnings back, and we coach you and mentor you and support you as with the community
Mhm.
until you're ready.
Mhm.
And some people that's pretty quick, some people it's longer, but we're not in a hurry. Yes, life happens and you get to take as long as you want to take.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think you mentioned 3 years ago. Is that when you started training teachers?
Yes.
And I think that I
I
might
think
have been a part
I
of the
think
first group.
I think you were. Yeah, I think it was 2018.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember um, having to actually film myself in one of my
Yes.
weekend workshops that I was teaching and
Yeah.
submit that to you. And that was like one of the last pieces of that
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at it. It must work because there you are.
It worked. I love teaching your material. It's so important to me, personally and professionally. And I have a lot of students now who are in the professional training, who have maybe done a weekend workshop with me. And it's often a question that comes up at the end of the workshop. So,
Mhm.
am I certified to teach this now? That's
Mhm.
almost always a question. So,
Mhm.
I've started just working it into my closing,
Yeah.
where I will let people know that that you want us to talk about the wheel in
Mhm.
all of our work, that you want us
Yeah.
to be out there and using this material. But in order to teach the wheel of consent, that we have to be certified.
Yeah.
So it's always been,
In order to teach the Wheel of Consent workshop,
yes,
you need to be certified.
you need to be certified. But
Yeah.
of course, you want us to use it in our
Yeah.
practice sessions, in our client sessions, and even to incorporate the wheel into our other workshops.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
if you,
Help yourself.
yes, but to actually teach the wheel of consent, that there is this process.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like I needed to clear that up a little bit, because on our community of practice call for the Institute a couple of weeks ago, I think there was a little misinformation that was shared. And so
Yeah.
students who maybe had started studying with me had heard one thing, but then there was something else that was shared on the call. And so it was really important to me that I have the
Yeah.
opportunity to let my students hear it from you and
Yeah.
your voice, and to also like have that like really clear understanding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
students have the option of taking one like a pro with you,
Yes.
and then doing the teaching the wheel in groups,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
And
facilitator
then you apply
certification.
for the facilitator
Yeah.
certification. Yeah.
Or 3 weekend workshops with a
Yes.
certified facilitator
Yes.
that can, maybe it's with me or maybe it's with one of the other certified facilitators, but that we would be able to speak to the learning of the student.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then the teaching the wheel in groups, and then the facilitator certification.
Yes.
I have a question about
Yes.
the separate workshop, which is teaching the wheel in groups. Can students take that at any time, or is it only after they've done like a pro or 3
Only
week?
after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that it's definitely like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah. And they used to be two different, when we started out 3 years ago, there were two different courses. There was teaching the wheel in groups if you wanted to add it to what you're already doing. And then there was the facilitator certification. But the facilitator certification has grown to fill up all the space that's allotted to it. And so that the prerequisite is now the teaching the wheel in groups.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that has changed over the years.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that level of integrity, that you want your teachers to really have it in their body
Yeah.
and to be able to speak from our own personal experience rather than just repeating the information
Yeah.
that we've learned by
Yeah.
watching your videos.
Yeah. And we say, the first requirement is that you have it in your body. And that is true.
Yeah.
Because it's I've had people try to figure it out. It never works. It just doesn't work very well. And so and it's also your experience of the vulnerability that comes up and the your personal ahas and challenges and liberation from occupying each of the four quadrants
Mhm.
that really shows you, oh, that's what this quadrant is.
Mhm.
And you learn to recognize it in other people. You can tell when it clicks for people.
Mhm.
um, yeah, so that really is the most important part.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also okay to acknowledge that I get it in my body and I'm
Absolutely.
still surprised by what I'm learning each time I teach it or each time I hear it, or even in each new relationship that
Yeah,
I'm in, that
yeah,
I'm like, oh, there's more. It feels like there's always more learning to do.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I still have my ahas and my, oh my gosh, I did that again.
Oh,
I've
that's really
had those.
familiar to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, where was I not clear about that? And
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Betty, for helping us to just get a little bit more clear about
yeah,
this path of becoming a certified Wheel of Consent teacher.
thank you. I look forward to hearing from all your students, with the people that are interested,
Yeah,
um,
me too.
and I so
Okay.
appreciate having you as a facilitator and a colleague and a friend.
Thank you for saying so.
Mhm. And I'm very inspired by what you're doing with the Institute. Mm.
It's kind of a big deal what we're
It
doing
is
with
a
the
big
Institute.
deal.
Yeah,
And it seems like you're just turning out really fabulous practitioners. So
we, yeah,
great. Yeah,
we really are.
yeah,
And the Wheel of Consent is a foundational part of our training.
yeah, for
And you
sure.
just wrote a book about it. So,
Yes,
published author.
yeah,
That's pretty exciting.
yeah.
Where can people find that book?
Wheelofconsentbook.com.
Mhm. And do you
Yeah.
prefer that that's where people buy it from?
Well, there's links there on where you
Oh,
can buy it. There's
okay.
several different places, and there's connections in Europe and Australia and US, and buy it from your local bookstore.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's great. Well, thank you, Betty.
you're welcome. Thanks.